Hello. Welcome back to Shoot Your Shot. I'm Georgia.
I'm Claire. We're so excited that you were joining us again for another episode.
And we are in London right now.
Shoot your shot.
Shoot your shot.
Super exciting, and we have such a cool guest today.
Yeah, I have been personally very excited to talk to her today. So without further ado, I think we should just jump right into it because I'm sure her story is going to be absolutely much better than us talking.
Yeah.
So we have Laura Kennedy today. She is the creator of the first female-owned garage in London, Spanners with Manners.
Woo! Welcome. Thank you so
Laura.
much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
We're so excited.
Okay, so I think that we should just jump right into one of our segments, Two Truths and a Lie. Mm-hmm. I think that would be the best way to start this out.
Let's just start with that.
Okay, you explain it.
Okay, so basically you're going to give us three phrases, three things you've done. Two of them are true, one's a lie. Don't tell us which one it is. We have to guess which one's a lie.
Okay. I once welded a pair of grips to a car. I once dropped a socket inside an engine. Oh. And I once forgot to take a magnetic torch off the bottom of a car.
Oh my God.
It's so dangerous.
I was gonna say, this sounds scary. We're like so not car people, so we're like...
So you almost died 3 times.
Yeah. Let me think.
I think it's the socket, dropping the socket.
Yeah, wait, what was the second one again?
I once dropped a socket inside an engine.
I feel like that could happen.
I feel like that could happen. I don't really know what a socket is, but I do feel like that could happen.
I don't know what you'd call it, actually.
Is it?
I don't know what you call a socket.
Do we call it a socket?
Plug?
No, so it's like the thing you put on the ratchet and then...
Oh, like the little circle thing.
Yeah, that's it.
No, that sounds like that could happen.
That sounds like doable.
What was the third one again?
What's the third one?
The magnetic thing or something?
I once left a magnetic torch on the bottom of a car.
Okay, there's no way that's true. How do you, like...
I would go with that one.
Yeah, that's false.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Did I tell you if you're right or wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're wrong.
Oh, we're wrong? Okay, go tell us. Tell
Okay.
us.
No, tell us. What's
It's a socket.
Is it the socket?
Yeah, it's a socket.
Oh.
Gut instinct, man.
Yeah.
I should have just gone with my gut.
You should have done it.
You should have done it.
I literally say that all the
think
time
I
too. Trust your
influenced
gut.
you.
Trust
I know.
your gut.
Sorry.
And I don't trust my gut ever.
Okay, so wait, explain those, like, how did you recover from those two truths?
The welding, when I was learning to weld, I did actually weld the grips to the car, but you could just cut them off quite easily.
Okay.
And the torch, it was tiny and it died, so I couldn't see it. It was at the bottom of the car. It was, same colour as the bottom of it. I couldn't see it. But if you dropped a socket in the engine, you'd know about it because...
The engine would have started.
The car wouldn't be driving out, you'd be pushing it out. So
That's funny.
I'm imagining the torch just like fire
sitting-
under the car and just explodes like a James Bond movie.
That's exactly how I imagined it.
No, it would just literally fall off at some point. That's the worst that could happen. But it was literally like that.
Oh, really? It wouldn't just like
okay.
explode?
That's only a little battery. Yeah.
We're like the least mechanic car people ever. This is going to be so entertaining for you.
I know.
You're going to
You
be
should come
cracking
down. I'll
up.
give you a lesson.
Literally,
Yeah.
the most I can do is change a tire.
That's good.
I don't even think I can do
That's
that.
all I can
Do you drive?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay.
I am the most, like, I hate to admit it, but like I am the most like horrible person. Like you're stereotypical, like she doesn't know what she's doing with a car. And I don't want to be that way though.
You learn.
I'm like, I don't want that, Laura, help.
I'm not gonna lie, I watch TikToks on like how to change tires and stuff.
Really?
That's how I changed the
Didn't you just have to change your tire like a
and I
month
was
ago?
literally on TikTok like, okay, so we're gonna do this.
Oh,
See, I wouldn't trust it. I'd go with YouTube over TikTok. I think.
really?
Yeah, because some people do it like as a joke way, don't they?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
They
they
side of
do.
the road for hours. So.
They do like fake tire thingies. I don't know if they do fake things, but they do like joke.
It was complicated because I didn't have the right gear to lift my car. It was like too small for my car because I have an SUV, and so then I had to like walk to a place to go get a new one, and that one didn't work. And it was...
Do you like find that funny whenever you see people who have no idea what they're doing with cars, just like find their own little ways to fix things? You're
Or
like,
when it's a
why?
guy who's like all macho and then he has no idea how to fix a car.
Yeah, and you're like, why are you doing
I just
that?
think the worst thing is when they bring the car to you and say, well, I'll give it a go myself. And I'm like, oh, really?
You're like, oh no.
And then you spend 2 hours trying to work out what they've done and why they've done it. And when you work it out, you're like, what logic was behind that? You know,
There was none.
There was none at all. You should have just left it alone. You know, and you do sort of call the other girls and go, look what he's done. Why would you do that? You know.
Can you recount like a specific, before we like jump into it, can you recount like a specific thing that you remember someone bringing into your garage and you're like, why on earth would they do this?
So there was a customer and he was adamant it was his fuel filter. So he changed his own fuel filter.
Okay.
The car wouldn't start. But by doing that, I don't know how he managed to do this. He ends up blowing the fuse for the fuel pump. And it still wouldn't run. And I'm like, okay. And then what he'd done, he's actually put the fuel pipes the wrong way round. So there was no fuel getting out to the engine. But this is after him messing around with it for 2 weeks, then getting it recovered. And it was just like, why would you do that?
And he was adamant that it was like, no,
I
didn't do anything wrong.
It's nothing I've done. And so I took the picture. I was like, well, it kind of was.
And then you told him, and then what was his reaction?
Oh, God.
He's like, I knew that. Yeah, I knew that.
I don't know. Oh, if you say so, I'm like, yeah.
That's funny.
It runs now, doesn't it? It runs.
But that's funny that you said you took the picture to show him, because you're like,
I do a lot of the time, because people sort of like, especially with, younger people, women, or you're just throwing words at them and they don't understand it. But, I'm dyslexic, so sometimes when some people say something to me, unless I can visualise it, I don't really understand what they're saying to me a lot of the time. So I find if someone went that, I went, okay.
Yeah.
So instead of just saying, oh, your bill's X amount of money and this is what's wrong with it, and they go, okay, when they turn up, I'll either have their old parts or just show them, and they say, oh, that makes sense. And it just makes, I think it just makes people, definitely makes me feel more comfortable.
I prefer that too, because I'm a
visual learner.
I'm a visual learner.
I am 100%. You know, and I just think,
yeah,
definitely. I think it is.
It is.
Yeah.
No, it definitely is. Let's kind of start at the beginning of your journey. Like, take us through how
did you even get into cars?
How did you even get into cars? Like, where did that passion come from?
Well, my cousin was working in the offices at Mercedes. So when I left school, my mum was like, you're going to work there. So I did. So I've always worked within the car industry.
Like you were selling cars?
No, I was doing admin to start with.
Okay.
And then I went over to service advising, which is when you, like, in a main dealer, you take the keys and say, oh, do you want it valeted? And then you phone them up and tell them what it needs. Really quite boring.
Okay.
But then I started going out quite a bit, and I did tell my mum I'd been sacked. So I was getting up, going to work every day. Bye, Mum. She was like, bye. And then my P45 arrived, but obviously we've got the same surname, so she opened it. So to get out of trouble, I said, well, I'm going to college. She said, to do what? And because I'd always worked around cars, I said, to do an apprenticeship, to be a mechanic. And she was so proud. I was like, I better go and enroll, So I did, and I really enjoyed it, because I'm not that academic, or, I've got dyslexia and that. Being hands-on I just enjoyed it. I'd never done anything apart from be in an office before. And I've been doing it ever since.
How old were you at that point?
I was 22.
Okay. And so what does that mean, in case anybody doesn't really know, what did your apprenticeship entail? How long was that? What did that really look like?
The apprenticeship, I think like any apprenticeship, the first year you've got to prove that you actually want to do it. No one wants to let you touch the car. You do a lot of making tea and sweeping up, and the more you show a bit of initiative, and then you start to get to do a bit more in it. But I think nowadays over here you're 16 and you have to choose what you want to do. I was 22 and didn't know what I wanted to do, and it's these kids are sort of told to go on these courses, and 6 months later they drop out because it's not for them. But I don't know anyone that knew what they was doing at 16, but you've sort of got to get the feel for something, and that's the only way you're going to know if you're into it or not.
Yeah,
100%. That always blows my mind that people are expected to know what they want to do with their lives so young.
Yeah, you have to go and try. I don't know, I'm always a big believer, especially like you said, you're 22, in your 20s, you should go try literally every single thing that you might want to do. Yeah. So that way
I think I literally did as well. I'm kind of running out of options, But there's things you have it in your head what it's going to be like, and the reality of it is completely different. The hours and the shift work, and I can't do this. I want to be asleep. I don't want to be up at 2 o'clock in the morning and get up for work. And it's hard at such a young age to find your ground.
Is that what you would have to do? You would have to wake up at 2 a.m.?
No. But before that, I did shift work and I'd done this, and it was just like, this isn't for me, man. This really isn't. Yeah. No, I don't get up at 2 a.m. God, I'm asleep.
That's good. That's good.
I'm not a morning person at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I feel that so hard.
Did we make you wait? Did you have to wake up really early to get here on time?
No.
Oh, okay,
Well,
good.
We've got a daughter, and she gets up at the crack of dawn. But
How old's your daughter?
She's just turned 9. So yeah, she's Siobhan's daughter, our stepdaughter, but she gets up early.
Yeah, kids will make you get up early.
Yeah,
Not that I have kids, but I have 7 younger siblings. I feel like I have children.
That's a lot of siblings.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't
You
know
got
that.
7
Excessive.
siblings.
That's a lot.
But I feel that. It's like you have to be up early.
Yeah.
Else crazy shit will happen.
Okay, so did you say that your apprenticeship was with Mercedes or?
No, I just done over here. You've got a thing called City and Guilds. That's the apprenticeship program.
Okay.
And I done it with them, and I got a placement in a Porsche specialist. Because I tried so many garages, and I mean, a lot of them were like, "Yeah, what is it for your brother?" No, it's for me. Oh, we haven't got female toilet facilities.
Are you serious?
Really?
Yeah, I took so much of that. And this Porsche specialist was like, "Yeah, we'll take you on," which was great. You know, I was like, "I'm working on Porsches," you know.
Yeah.
But then a lot of them were classic Porsches. So as the course went on, obviously you were learning about how modern day car works, and these were obviously carburetors and chokes, and so it kind of was not hand in hand with what I was learning, so I had to move to another garage. But it was great, and they are lovely cars.
Do you prefer working on classic cars or newer cars?
I used to like classic cars, but now they're just a headache because
Oh, really?
well, the problem is that they're people's pride and joy, and they like to sort of pop in constantly and see what you're
So
doing.
it's like someone's always over your shoulder.
And then a lot of the time people have just bought these and they've been completely bodged together, and it's on the outside it looks absolutely lovely, and when you're trying to get involved and get it running right, nothing's what it should be, and it just makes your life quite difficult.
Is it a headache also getting parts for these older cars? Because some of them, they don't make them anymore.
Yeah, I mean, they don't make them that much anymore, but I mean, they're quite basic, so
Okay.
you just got to wait a few days or weeks for them.
Got
you know.
you.
It's not too bad.
Would you say there's more, because you're based in London, would you say there's more older cars or newer cars? I don't know if that's a stupid question, but I'm just curious how.
Well,
what
they
the
used to
drive
be,
here.
but you know, they've brought in this ULIS thing now. I don't know if you know about that. It's basically your car's got to be a certain thing, otherwise you've got to pay £12.50 a day to drive it within a certain zone.
Really?
So last year, a lot of people before last year, got rid of their classic cars because they're still worth a lot of money. Otherwise, they would have been charged. And then any diesel cars that are at a certain age and petrol, they're all off the road. So a lot of the cars now are relatively new for that reason.
Really?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And they
I've
put
seen
the camera right outside my garage, so if you come in or out of it, you're automatically charged, and it's literally
Really?
as far as where is that
way.
rule. Yeah. So
Wow.
I didn't know that they did that.
That's intense. I don't understand why though.
Yeah.
emissions, pollution,
okay.
global warming.
so they're doing it to try
all
to,
the main
like,
things,
help.
the reasons why they should. You know, I'm not against it.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
it's
that-
had a
that does
massive
make
impact
sense.
on what cars are on the road and aren't.
Oh, maybe they should
Right,
do that
right.
in the US.
There's a lot of really nice cars in London. I don't
Yeah.
know if you noticed. I mean, to be fair, we are staying near Notting Hill, so maybe that's why.
I love
But
it.
Yeah.
I used to
so
see a
many
lot of
nice
cars.
classic cars there.
There are.
And we saw a lot of Porsches.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, well, I did.
I did.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the difference between cars, which sounds so. I know.
What do you drive?
A Nissan.
A Nissan.
Yeah. Wait. How do you say it?
Nissan.
Nissan. Yeah. Nissan.
Nissan what?
What is
The
it?
new one, Juke.
Duke.
No. What is it? Kicks. Nissan Kicks.
Oh, okay. I've seen that one.
I think I don't know. I don't really know if there's a London version of it.
I
That
haven't
makes
heard of
sense.
that
So
one, actually.
I'm like,
A London version.
A London
of
version.
London.
Yeah. It might have been English version, but not London.
I was gonna say, I think you guys do say a lot of like car names differently than what
Yeah.
we do, because Jack always says, I don't know, like his British version of words, and I have no idea what he's talking about until he gives me the American of it. Like I know Honda.
Honda. How do you say it?
Is it? I think no Honda or hi. What is the one we were
Hyundai.
Hyundai.
Yeah,
You say what?
Hyundai.
Hyundai?
How do you say it?
Hyundai.
Hyundai.
Do you know, I think that's actually how you say it, because their new
Hyundai.
advert, they're going around trying to find the Hyundai main dealer, and then they say it how you guys do, and
Yeah.
the sat nav takes them to it. So
Yeah,
I
we
do
say
think we're saying
Hyundai.
it wrong. Yeah, I think we're
And they
saying
say
it wrong.
Hyundai.
Hyundai.
Yeah, Hyundai.
Yeah.
That's
mad.
funny.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. Anyways, I don't want to like make this a like British versus American like speaking thing.
So I have a question.
Yes.
What was it like training as a mechanic, being a female? And I would assume that you were training with all guys. What was that environment like? Like, was there any sort of, I don't know if I want to use the word bullying or like treating differently, but I would imagine there was.
Yeah, I
you
mean,
said some places wouldn't even take you because you
Yeah.
were a female. That's crazy.
but I must start is that I was very lucky, and I did the garages that I ended up in long term, they were all lovely. But prior to that, you know, I had a lot of stick, a lot of sort of sexual comments but they're classed as banter, which is just like ridiculous, you know. But then the more you learn, and the more frustrated they would get that you're actually bypassing their standards or a qualification of work. And as that happened, their attitude would actually get a lot worse towards you, and aggressive. Not even passive aggressive, just actually aggressive.
Like physically aggressive?
Come close once, yeah. You know,
Really?
yeah, so this one guy just yelling in my face.
Because you just knew how to do it better than him?
Just because, honestly, he was very lazy, didn't do his job properly, and I was, you know, I've just qualified, I was very eager, and I was doing it, and he got a bit of telling off from the boss, like, you know, why are you still doing that? And, you know, rather than turn around to the boss and sort of say, well, you know, so, and he sort of just took the anger out of me. But I was actually down, bending in a wheel doing something, and he started yelling at me, and I just stood up right in his face. I was like, what? You know, go shout at him, you know, go shout at that 6 foot part-time rugby player and get out of my face. And then everyone was like, oh, you're getting sad. And they made the whole situation a lot worse by like antagonising him a bit.
Because his ego was probably like, oh, you're
absolutely. But I just stood up for myself, and he never done it again. You know, he still. But it's crazy. If that was any other work placement, you know, there would have been meetings held, there would have been people put
like HR would have been involved.
Absolutely. But because it was a garage, it was like, right, you go to that side of the room, and you go to that side of the room. It's like, what you know, if that was your daughter, you'd be going mad at that guy. But you don't want any confrontation with it, you know, you don't want to deal with it. So I just took my torch and I left.
Were any of the other guys like standing up for you at all?
No, they were just laughing at him, really, just trying to wind him up a little bit more, you know. That is the mentality in a lot of workshops. But other workshops I've worked in, they're family run, everyone goes out on the Christmas party, you know, a lot of the guys I still talk to, you know, they're friends, I'll go for a beer with them and stuff like that. So but
it's still predominantly just all men.
Yeah, apart from in the office, it really is, which is crazy. I mean, we've had quite a few girls come through our garage, but they're none of them been qualified. They're just starting out. So I think in about 10 to 15 years' time, you know, it's going to be a completely different ball game.
So do you think it's because there's this fear? Is there a reason that less women are involved because there's a fear of being isolated and being the only one? Is there fear of rejection? Is it what do you think is the reason that there's less women involved in this industry?
Because you that's like strong of you to like be able to like go through that for so many years and put up with that and still have a passion to do it and create a whole new garage. Like, I don't know, that's just crazy. How are you able to just handle that?
I don't know, I think I'm just a little bit tough-skinned. It doesn't really faze me, you know. And, you know, sometimes I sort of think, I wonder what they're doing now, because I'm doing great and I'm happy, and, you know, I'm not getting yelled at by someone, and you're probably just still plodding along doing the same thing. But I think girls still find it intimidating to enter mechanics and stuff like that. You know, I've got friends that are plumbers and electricians, and again, they're the rarity in their field, you know. It's intimidating, I think, to even go to college, because the majority of the boys in the classroom, you know, out of all the girls we've got, they've been the only girl in their year. You know, and to be around a bunch of 17-year-old boys talking about mopeds and God knows what, when they're actually there to learn, it's very distracting, and they end up dropping out because
that's so sad.
You know, it's not like they're going to school and they've got a mate. They just go in there and they're on their own, and they're still quite, you know, there's still the banter in the classroom and all of that stuff, you know. I personally think you need to start going into primary schools, you know, when they're sort of at that age, and see if they're into them, and then they know that they can go and do bricklaying or mechanics or electricians when they leave school. There's no point going to a 15-year-old girl that's never been introduced to anything before and say, right, what are you doing next year? You know, that you've got to sort of try and introduce it a bit early and see. There's loads of tomboys out there. There's loads of girls that, you know, want to get their hands dirty and do something else. And some people are academic. Not everyone wants to sit in a classroom.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I feel that. I dropped out of school. I'm not academic whatsoever.
So you're in Porsche now. You're doing your apprenticeship. Like, did you face similar challenges there? I know they obviously accepted you to come work with them, but did you have any of that, like, I don't know, were people yelling at you? Were they like mean to you just literally because you're a female there?
No, when I worked at the Porsche Specialist, it's a small business. It was two friends that owned it, and then this really nice guy called Russell, who's a Hell's Angel, and then a guy from Brazil. But they were just all lovely. They really were nice.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that was a good. So then when I went to the next garage, it was a bit of a reality shock to go from something so nice to something on a completely different. I think there was like 12 blokes there, and it was a completely different dynamics. And it was like, oh my God, is all the garages like this? Or they're like, it's quite confusing. So.
And did you leave Porsche because you were tired of working on classic cars and you wanted a new challenge?
Just because I had exams coming up and they're practical, and the cars that I was working on wouldn't relate to what I was supposed to be doing in my exam. So then it kind of just. They didn't run hand in hand, so I was kind of running behind with my exams because we didn't have a car that needed a computer plugged in and a diagnostics. We had one that was like old and just needs some wire. Yeah, it's completely different sort of.
That's so interesting. So like, what would be, because you're saying that, like, what would be a project that you'd have to work on? Like, give an example of one. Like change brakes.
Doing an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
So they'd give you a list of things. So you'd have to do brakes. So you'd have to change brake shoes, change the brake pads. Which on all the older cars they were fine, but then it would be to an ABS light would come on. The old cars don't have that, so that's when it started to get to the electronical side of it. That's when the two wouldn't match up. So,
what was your biggest thing that you had to do? Like, if you remember a project while you were there, where you were like,
or
this
favorite project?
Yeah, biggest most challenging one, but then your also most favorite one.
Well, I was only there for a year.
Okay.
And then went to another garage to do my apprenticeship. And I think he actually said to me, do you want to learn how to weld? I remember it was this transit van which used to keep scrap metal in, and it was like the holes in the floor were just huge, and he was like, look, if you mess it up it doesn't matter because it just sits there. But cleaning it all up and actually getting the metal to stick to it without any holes, and he was like, that's not bad. So then the next time a car failed the MOT, he's like, here, you can do the welds. And I was like,
that's sick. The validation.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it was.
That's
great. It was good.
Is that when that 2 truths and a lie thing happened earlier, where you welded something to the car on accident?
Yes, it was.
Yes.
Yeah, they got started. But because it was his, you could just cut it off of an angle. So it wasn't a bother. But
that's funny.
So take us into Spanners with Manners, which is now your shop. When did that begin? How did you even have this concept, this idea to start this? Did you know from the beginning you wanted to be an all-female garage, or did that just come later?
Okay, so it's been actually be 4 years, the beginning of February, we've had it. I was working for a guy, and he just sort of said, look, I've had enough of this. I've been doing it for years. I'm just going to sell a couple of cars. Do you want to take over the garage? I was like, okay.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, but you're going to have to get an investor. And I was like, okay. And I was thinking, I went home. I was like, hold a second. I fix cars. I don't know how to, run a business. And then me and Siobhan were just dating at that point. And she was like, look, we got this. Because, and it worked.
Aww.
We worked. And then I got so busy, I phoned the college to get an apprentice. But I didn't specifically ask for a girl, and they sent me 4 candidates that were all girls.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
Was that on purpose, or was it just
I don't know.
coincidence?
I really don't know. I never actually asked. I should have done. But Megan, she was just fantastic, just speaking to her.
Oh.
She's still with me now, and don't tell her, but she's probably a better mechanic than I am.
Don't listen to that part, Megan.
And then they just kept sending them out. And then we had girls phone up saying, can I come? And I'm like, yeah, give it a go. And then Tasha, she still works for us. In lockdown, she actually lived on the road of the garage. And she came in and she was so nervous. Her face was actually shaking.
Oh.
And me and Siobhan were like, we can't actually say no to her. But she turned out great, and we're great friends. We go out for dinner, and it kind of just happened. It wasn't intentional, but the response from it is so good, and the atmosphere and the way the customers feel, and the dynamics of there's no shouting in my workshop. There's no arguments. There's no. We all go out socially, and it just works. I know it sounds a bit silly, but it just kind of happens.
So is this a point where now you would only accept female mechanics, or are you still open to having guys working for you as well?
To be honest, I've never had a guy phone up and ask for a job.
Really?
Yeah, which I find quite.
See, now they're intimidated by you guys.
Yeah, but I've never once ever had one actually phone up.
That's actually
or
so
walk past.
fascinating.
Yeah, and but I've got friends that are mechanics, and they've been in and out of work, and they haven't even said, do you want me to come and do a bit for you? They're just like, oh, it's cool. So I think maybe they would feel intimidated coming to all female, because the conversation they're going to be getting in the daytime is going to be, it's like, oh my God, my boobs are killing me. All them things that you talk about with your mates, and I think they'd be standing there going, what am I supposed to talk about? So it's not that I wouldn't take one on, but at the minute the team we've got works, so we're not just
works
looking.
so good.
Yeah,
it's
we're just not looking for anyone at the minute.
How many of you is it?
So at the minute there's 4 of us.
Okay.
At the minute, and it works. There was at one point a few more, But the more people there, the more I wasn't working on the cars and was doing like
more like administration.
Yeah,
stuff.
manager stuff, and it's like I don't really enjoy doing that. You know, I like getting up every day and thinking, right, what's going to come in today? What's happened to this?
Yeah.
And, you know, it's, every day is different.
How many cars are you servicing per day or per week? And do you only take a certain specific amount?
Well, the thing is, I always say, yeah, bring it down. She was like, no, there's enough in for this week. So we've got very different ways of running it. But on average, 8+ cars a day, depending on what's wrong with them, you know.
Oh, that's
So like
a lot.
two cars per person, more or less.
Yeah, but it could be just straightforward things.
Right.
But then obviously you can get big jobs. You know, it all depends what comes through the door, really.
Now, is it just you two running the whole shop? You and,
Me and Siobhan.
yeah.
Yeah, so Siobhan does more or less. She runs everything. She just tells us what to do. She's the real boss, really. She's got.
She
a
like
side
makes
of
sure
the
it's all like coming together, and you just make sure all the car problems are pretty much fixed.
Yeah, pretty much. That's how it runs. Yeah.
Very like probably easily said.
Yeah,
That's good though. That's a really good dynamic.
Yeah, it's good. It works. Like, if I try and tell her otherwise, she's quite quick to say, no, you just do your thing. I'll do mine. Like, don't confuse
that's
things.
good though.
I mean, it's kind of just letting the artist do the art, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Since you opened up Spanners with Manners, which I guess, we should talk about this. What does Spanners mean? Because we kind of mentioned it before the podcast and we didn't really know what it meant, but what does Spanners mean?
So spanners in American, I guess, would be like a wrench.
A wrench.
Like
Which we had no idea. She said it before the podcast, but we were
Yeah.
like, it's a wrench? What?
So where did that name come from with Manners?
Well, I was trying to think of a name, and I thought, right, I want something that rhymes. Don't know why. I'm quite like that. I like
No, I
things
like that.
Yeah, like rhymes. And I just come up and I was like,
It just
wow,
came together.
that totally works. And I was
Spanners
like,
with Manners.
well, nothing really rhymes with screwdriver or
Yeah.
It's very
hoist.
catchy.
It is.
Yeah.
And especially now that I know a spanner is a wrench, I honestly didn't know. I thought maybe Spanners was maybe like your last name or a car thing. Jack's laughing. He's like, that's so dumb of you,
I think it's
Georgia.
nice too because it has like a light feminine touch to it.
Well, that was
like,
the other side.
women
It does.
have
It's
manners.
like women have manners. They're like coming over your car with classy.
It's supposed to be, because I don't know what the garage is like at home for you, but when a lot of people over here, you go and they go, yeah, can I help you? They don't look at you.
Yeah.
They'll still be writing or doing something, and they don't actually. You say, oh hi, how can I help you?
Yeah, in
So
America,
half
it's
of
very
it-
like, they're like,
Yeah.
you need an oil change today? And I'm like,
Or they just ignore you.
Yeah, that's pretty much what
Yeah.
they're like here. You know, and it's kind of a bit of, look, you come in here, that's not what you're getting. You're going to get like you would if you walked into a shop. Hello, can I help you? You know, nice to see you. And we've got such a good relationship with our customers. You know, they buy us loads of chocolates at Christmas, and you know they go out of their way to drop them around, and you know it's really nice. You know, and it's because of that relationship that you get as soon as they walk through the door.
I like just want to buy a car here just to be able to come and get it like fixed by you. What part of your job do you feel like your creativity really comes out? You're like, oh,
Yeah,
I have to,
that's
I
better
really have to
worded.
think about this in a creative way.
Okay. So that would be, there's always a saying that there's a tool for every job. And with cars, they change the bolts, heads, they change everything. And then you get a car that's just so old that, and so many people have been at it, that no tool's ever going to fit. So to have to sit there and think, right, I need to get this off now, today, and I'm going to have to improvise here and do something to get it off. And it's very satisfying when that happens because, you know, I mean, for example, if you've got an old van and the bolt's been rounded off and it's going through to the body of the car, you've got no way of getting to it. And what we've done is we got a socket. We cleaned it up. We welded the socket onto the bolt so it actually couldn't round it off anymore, snap it off. And then we finally got it out and put a new bolt in. But a lot of people would have just said, oh, I'll have to wait till tomorrow, I haven't got any other. You know, whereas I like to get things done now, and if there's going to be a way around it, I'm going to think of it and get it done. So sometimes you have to be very creative because, you know, you can't wait 2 days for a tool to turn up when there would be an alternative around it.
So would you say that you never take a job and say no? Like, do you always see a way to make it work with a car? Is there ever a time where you're like, oh, maybe this won't work? Or I was like, no, there is a way around this problem.
That's a good question.
I always say yes, no matter what.
Good. I love that.
Siobhan pulls me aside and said, have you thought about this? You know, this could mess you up for the week. I'm like,
But that shows how passionate you are too, because you're like, I'm going to figure it out.
yeah, I do. I don't like to be defeated. You know, I think there's always a way around something. You just got to think logically about it, step back, and there'll be a reason to get it fixed.
That was a quote right there.
I was just gonna say that.
That's a TikTok right there.
What is?
That right there.
What you just said, that's so inspiring.
That was good.
Yeah.
That was powerful. It was very inspirational.
Okay.
You're like, okay, yeah, whatever you say. Do you think that even though you started your own garage and it's going really well, do you think that you still face any criticism with having a female-owned garage, or since you started it, you're actually like, wow, like all that criticism is kind of left?
We've been very lucky. We've got amazing customers and we've got amazing response, and I do listen to criticism because I think you do need to learn from it, because sometimes you haven't done something right and maybe you didn't communicate with the customer enough and they're frustrated because they didn't get the car back and you said there was, and you do have to learn from these things, and I think when you stop listening to it or learning from it, that's when you just stop learning altogether. And it's important, especially if you've got a business and you're trying to grow it, is that you can't just listen to all the good things of people saying, oh, how wonderful. You have to listen to someone saying, I'm really annoyed. You said you were going to call me yesterday, I need my car back. And little things like that slip your mind at the time, but they're important and you have to listen to them, you have to learn from them. And not all criticism you should take in a bad way, because sometimes people are telling you this because they like what you're doing and they're just a bit disappointed, and they don't want you to repeat the same mistake again. You know?
Absolutely. I love that, because I think for me at least, I relate a lot, because obviously art is very subjective, but I have had clients before where it's turned into like kind of a disaster because they didn't get what they wanted or they didn't properly communicate their expectations.
Or you guys just have completely different visions, and like, because I know the same thing before, like we've done something where we thought it looked so good, like edited a video, like it looks amazing. And then the client comes back and they're like, oh, actually, can you just like change it completely and do it like this?
Really?
And then we're like, oh.
It's almost heartbreaking in a way because it's
you're
your
like,
baby, it's your craft, but you have to realize that you can grow through it. And there's, and sometimes when you do grow through it, you realize like, oh, actually, like I learned a lot from
like there's
not
new
letting that
perspectives.
push me down and think like, oh,
I think as well that sometimes when you if someone says something to you, you could turn around and go, well, what do you mean?
Yeah.
But I think sometimes when you don't react like that and you react, that shows them that you are willing to do anything to make that work. And sometimes you just have to hold your hands up and be like, look, okay, let's do it that way. But it is quite hard, criticism and stuff, but you do have to take it on board and work around it. It is important in any job.
Yeah.
I mean, you almost become a more valuable asset having worked through the constructive criticism.
You're stronger at the other side of it, aren't you?
Exactly.
And then the next time something else happens, without you even realising it, you've got that in the back of your mind and you're ready, you're already 1 foot,
You like, so that way if you get somebody else like who you think might like it that way, you're like, oh, they'll probably like it like this way.
Yeah.
So obviously we know you love cars,
Yes.
but does it go beyond the garage? Do you enjoy other related car sports, like car racing? Do you go to like car meets? Like there's this thing called Cars and Coffee in LA.
Oh, okay.
Where it's like
I've
super
never heard
early.
of that.
Really? I've gone
Never heard of
actually. It's in Orange County, and all these people bring out their super nice cars at like 6 a.m. during
really?
the sun rising, and everyone just drinks coffee and like
something like that.
hangs out with their cars.
Yeah, do you like go to any car specific related hobby hangout things?
No. Do you know what? No, I don't. I mean, by the end of the day, I'm sick of looking at them, to be honest with you. I mean, for horses.
Oh, really?
Horse
That's
racing
cool.
to car racing. I've just never been, I don't like speed that much, I've got to admit. I've never really been into speed or making my car look a certain way or, but I've got friends that do and they love it. But I mean, to be honest, I'd be scared to go over a speed bump if I'd done that.
Really?
Well, they spend a fortune,
Yeah.
And the speed bumps in London, I don't know if you've driven it yet.
No.
But they're like, you have to slow right down, otherwise you're going to scratch the bottom of it. And
Really?
I think I'd just be a little bit too vain about what I've done to damage it. It wouldn't get driven at all.
Do you have a favorite car?
Probably my camper van. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, that's actually perfect because that was going to be my next question. We saw that you recently launched Spanners with Vanners. Mm-hmm. So does that have to do with your camper van, or like did that give you the inspiration for that?
Well, we got a camper van in lockdown and done it up.
Okay.
And we just loved it. We just jumped in it every Friday, just went away for the weekend. And then it was Siobhan's idea, actually. So we got 3 of them, but she's done most of the work on them. I can't take the credit for that, to be honest. She's done all the interior and stuff like that. We just started renting them out because people were like, oh, would you rent yours out for the weekend? I'm like, I don't want anyone renting ours. It's just done how we like it. And, so we just rent the other 2 out, which is cool.
That's sick. So are you buying old vans and completely refurbishing them and then renting them out?
They're not that old. they're sort of like maybe 10 years old, so they're not too old. But just do that at the back of them, make sure they're running right, and just send you on your way, get a nice weekend away somewhere.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
I know you said you just bought one in lockdown. Was there like a part of you, like, I don't know, where did that inspiration come from?
I've always wanted one, a Social Bond.
Okay.
And I bought this tiny little van, and I brought it back, and she was like, what is that? Just have a bit of vision, it's going to be a camper van. She's like, you can't stand up, there's 3 of us, what are we going to do in that? So then, as a surprise, she bought me a Sprinter, which is quite a large van.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a big boy.
Yeah, and we just ripped it out, and we put in a double bed, single bed, a kitchen, carpet. We just put everything in it, and that was it. We were just like, right, this is it. But then we was camping one weekend, and our little girl, she just has these like growth spurts, and she kept falling out of the bunk bed. So in the middle of the campsite, we've got a screwdriver, and we're taking her bed down, and she just couldn't fit on it. So then we had to make the bed that way, so we could all fit in it. And everyone was like, what are they doing? There was nowhere else to sit.
Redoing the entire bed.
You're like, sorry, our girl keeps falling out of bed. We're going to help her.
Well, she kept falling on us in the middle of the night. And it was like, I thought someone had broken into the van. I was like, So it's fun. You're not just sitting there. There's always something to do in it if you get a bit bored, or if it's a rainy day at a campsite or something. It's quite fun.
That's funny. Okay, I think we should do our quick fire round, this or that. Okay. So basically we'll ask you a few questions, and it'll just be like this or that, and you just pick one. Okay. Ready?
Yep.
Ferrari or Lamborghini?
Ferrari.
Track or off-road?
Off-road.
Night or day driving?
Day.
F1 or World Rally?
World Rally.
Change a tire or wash a car?
Wash a car.
Reverse in a parking spot or drive straight in?
Drive straight in.
Aircon or roll down windows?
Roll down the windows.
Diesel or gas?
Oh, I'm going to say petrol.
Oh yeah, you guys call it petrol, don't you?
No, petrol.
Yeah. Okay, that was it. That was it, this or that.
That was good.
Okay, so what would you say are your like longer terms with Spanners with Manners?
I mean, ideally, I'd like to get we've had a few girls sort of come from the college and go, I'd like a few more candidates coming forward. You know, there hasn't been any last year in the college at all. The college we work with, the woman who runs that side of it, you know, she's always trying to put, but they just haven't had them. I don't know what the drop is or anything like that, but I'd like to see a few more girls coming into the game.
Would you open any other shops anywhere else in the UK or even in the world?
Do you know what? I'd love to, but it's hard enough trying to run.
Yeah.
If I could find 3 girls to be at the place that I was, I'd open up another one.
Okay,
that's the kind of number you'd need in one place before you could move on to the next one.
So please send your applications to Laura, ladies.
Okay,
Where would you open up the next one?
If I could pick anywhere.
Yes, anywhere.
Probably Australia. But
really?
Yeah,
We're in Sydney or?
Yeah. I've got friends that live out there, and I've always wanted to get out there.
Super cool.
And do you know, the women in trades over there is great. You know, there is that the stigma that is here, but it's not on the same level at all.
Well, and also trade schools in Australia are like bigger than going to university almost. Everybody goes to trade school. Everybody does like hands-on work. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like that would work really well.
And
there.
you could have your lunch on the beach. Where else would you?
And you could take your camper van there.
Yeah.
It's like the most perfect place to road trip.
Or you could do like Spanners with Vanners like on tour in Australia.
Yeah, it sounds good. Yeah, it sounds great.
We're gonna build out your whole campaign for you.
I like
Amazing.
that.
Okay, these are more like kind of like silly questions, but I'm just curious. So I feel like this podcast wouldn't be complete unless we know what car are you driving?
It's embarrassing. I've got a 2001 Volvo Estate. Which is probably, what would you call it? You'd call it you know, the really long cars that sort of, I can't think what you call it.
Like a Cadillac?
No. So it's like a normal car, but then it's like an estate, so it's really quite long. I can't think of the
thinking
words.
of like the old school ones in LA that like hop up and down.
I'm thinking like the low riders.
Yeah.
Well, it could probably do some new shockers, or is it a bit bouncy at the minute? I need to do some work to
really?
it. But I can't think of what you call. I can't think what you call them.
Okay.
Something wagon, you call it.
Station wagon?
Station wagon.
So the long, they got the long bit. So you got the
I think it's station wagon, right?
Yeah.
Station wagon.
Station wagon, those are nice. That's not a
Well, I like it.
that's a nice car.
There's a tyres in the boot and car park.
You
So
can put a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah, I like that. You kind of sounded British just saying that. Yeah. You're wearing off on us.
Good.
Okay, so do you have a dream car?
I wouldn't say no to a Ferrari, if I'm honest, or a Porsche. Nice new Porsche, I wouldn't say.
Oh, well, we need to
that.
get your Porsche connections to like gift you one or something.
They're
Do
nice.
you have a dream car? Don't say it yet. Do you have a dream car? Don't say it.
I'm not like a car person.
I think it'd be fun if she tried to guess our dream car.
Oh, try to guess our dream car.
Do you have
hasn't got
one?
one.
Are you thinking of one?
Yeah, wait. Sorry. Let me think.
She can pick for you.
Okay, I used to really want this one. I'm not gonna say it when I was little, but I don't know if I would still want it. But I'm just gonna do that one. Okay.
Okay. Have you got one?
Yeah.
When you were little, you wanted it.
Yeah.
What car is this?
A limo.
No,
good
but,
guess.
but I did actually love limos. I was obsessed with always
Okay.
wanting one. I used to want a pink Lamborghini with the doors that would go like up in the air and like you would open it and it would be like whoosh.
Oh, okay. But pink, bright.
I know. I really wanted
Can you
hot
get them in
pink.
pink? I don't think I've seen the Lambo in pink.
But now I don't think I would want those. Like I feel like I would be claustrophobic because I'm tall.
Yeah, no, you'd be surprised the space of them. They'd be massive.
Really?
I reckon so, yeah.
I don't know.
I can see you in a pink Lambo. Yeah.
I do want a pink car at some point, like a hot pink or light pink. Jack's like, absolutely not.
Yeah. I can see you two rolling there.
Yeah. We like pull up and I'm like, hey, we're going to the car park.
And Jack's just like, please don't look at me.
Okay, now guess hers.
Sports car. Mm-mm. Is that more practical? Mm-mm. No.
Luxury.
Luxury.
Mm-hmm. Like it's like dream, ultimate. Like if I had a lot of money.
Aston Martin. Mm-mm. Bentley. Mm-mm. Rolls Royce. Wow. What?
What is it?
Lamborghini Urus.
Oh,
Matte-
okay.
Matte black.
Everyone
Matte
loves
black Lamborghini.
Lambos.
When you get in the car, like, do you listen to music? Do you listen to like, I don't know, the Londoner, the BBC talk shows, whatever they have on there?
Do you know, it's going to sound so weird. I'm very rarely on my own. I'm either at work, at home. We've got 3 dogs, 2 cats, a 9-year-old. When I get in the car, I just sit in silence. It doesn't matter if I'm in there for an hour or 10 minutes.
Really?
It's literally, driving is the only silence that I get all day. So
That's nice. So driving for you is therapeutic.
Kind of, yeah, I guess it is.
Aw.
So and then, yeah, as soon as I get out either end, it's just chaotic. So
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I just like the quietness.
Feel that. What advice would you give to another woman who wants to start a business in a very male-dominated industry? Like, biggest advice that you would give, and then the best advice you've ever received?
Just go for it. If it's what you want to do and you're good at it, you're going to go far. If you just got to believe in yourself, work hard. Hard work will always pay off. And in a male-dominated industry, the further you get, the more respect you get from your colleagues. Not that it should be like that, but unfortunately that is the way it is. And just go for it, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. If that's really what you want to do and you're happy doing it, and you're obviously making money and you're living off it, then don't let anyone else sort of say or do anything that's going to stop you from doing it.
I love that.
Preach, sister.
I know.
Love it. What's the best advice you've ever received?
Not good. I don't normally listen to the advice. That's the problem, and it's always. And then about 3 years later, I think, that's what they're talking about. You know what I mean? At the time, I'm quite like, no, I know best. And then eventually, it comes around. I think
You're like, oh,
that's
you're like, oh, I should
yeah.
have listened to
Yeah, I
that.
should have listened to that 3 years ago. But
I can relate to that.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just at the time, I'm like, no, I do it my way.
Yeah.
My landlord, when I took over from the garage, he said to me, just always be honest with people. If you get stuck and you say, look, I've come to this point, just tell the truth. I can't get the parts there, I can't do this. He said, because, and this does happen a lot in garages, is that people will just tell lies, and people aren't stupid, when someone's lying to you, just say, look, I forgot to order the part, I'm really sorry, but I'll do something to make work it out. Whereas saying, oh look, the part hasn't turned up, and when you start lying to people like that, you do end up there's a garage locally to us, and they tend to do that quite a lot, which has worked in our favour because they all come to us now. But people, when you've been lied to, when you've been taken for a mug, when you've been overcharged, if it takes us half an hour, I'm going to charge you half an hour, even though if we thought it's going to take 2, and we're completely honest like that, which is why people come back.
And
it goes a long way, because, other garages, we get people come and say, oh, look, I've had this bill and they've done this, and you look at it and go, well, that's clearly 10 years old, that hasn't been changed, you know, and it's, people do sort of think, well, why has it been that much and it's still doing this, you know, and you just got to be honest with people, and you can't do any more than that.
I was going to bring that up because I don't know how it is here, but mechanics in the States have horrible reputations for lying and overcharging and not even fixing anything just so that you'll come back. And
my mom literally she had her car for years, and every time she took it into the garage, they would just almost like lie about what they were doing and charge her so much money. Yeah. And it was horrible. So she literally sold that car and got a new one because of her experiences at the garage.
So what's something that people can look out for to know whether or not they have a good or bad mechanic?
That's a good question.
Practical advice for us noobs.
I mean, you know your car, you know your own car, you know what it sounds like, you know what it drives like. If you're going in every year to the same garage and every year there's something wrong with it, but you've been driving it, do you have MOTs in the States?
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is.
Yearly inspection.
Oh, yeah.
Smog check type thing?
Yeah, but this, so basically...
We have inspections in Pennsylvania, yeah.
So
like
if it fails, you're not allowed to drive your car here, basically.
Yeah, that's kind of like, you could, I mean, if it fails, you could still drive it, but if you get pulled over, like, you'll get a huge fine and you won't be able to drive it. But yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty similar to here. But if you're driving your car all year and it's fine, and then, you know, you go in and you're coming out with a £900 bill every year, and it's like... You know your car, you know if something's wrong. You know, if your foot's sore, you know your foot's sore. If you've got a noise coming from the wheel, you can hear it. And it's like, the bill shouldn't always be big. You know, yes, you have to pop in and get this done or that done, but to get repeatedly big bills, you know, you've got to sort of, I think you can get a feel of someone, you know when someone's telling you, look, this is what it needs. Have you not heard this when you've been going over a bike? You think, actually, do you know what, I did hear that? Rather than just being like, right, that's what it needs, yes or no, all right. You know, you've got to have a feel for people. You know when people are lying to you, but at the same time, go with your gut instincts. You know, if your car's been running fine, why has it failed on that much?
That's
and unfortunately, there's a lot of that out there.
I feel like especially because we are so trusting, if we don't know the information, we'll be like, oh, well, you must know best, so here's my card, fix it.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, it's like we didn't even need to pay anything, like you're saying.
Yeah, unfortunately, it does happen quite a lot. It's bad, but it's good for us because they come to us and stay with us. So.
Yeah, you're like, bad for them. Good for you for business because you're like, well, we'll help you out.
Yeah, well,
the right way, the honest way.
Just be honest. And it's horrible having to show. They say, look, it's horrible having to show someone. I say, look, you can clearly see that that's not been changed. You know, I had one woman come in. She said, there's a noise. And there was this part, and she said, no, I have had that replaced. I said, well, that one had no bolts in it, and this one wasn't even there. And she said, what do I do? So I knew the garage that so I said, look, phone him up and tell him that I've took photos for you. He either going to fix this for free or you're going to go to trading standards because your car is dangerous. And he fixed it for free, serviced it for free. Ooh. And yeah, she actually come back, that was last summer, she actually come back to me the other day for another thing. She was like, thank you so much. You know, he just passed her test. You know, she put her trust in. She gave him nearly 800 quid as well, you know, and he hadn't even bothered to put the new part on. That's how bad it was.
That's like, crazy.
So is that a thing within the mechanic world where if a mechanic were to mess something up, you can come back and they would do it for free to like fix the problem? Or is that something where you would have to pay them again to fix their own problem?
Sometimes when you change one thing, it's attached to another. So when you take that off, that's going to break. It's inevitable. But until you take that bit off, you don't. So sometimes when you phone people and say, look, you need it. Well, I didn't. I said, yes, but they have to be separated. And now that's it. And sometimes that's really hard to explain to people. But if two things have been stuck together for 20 years and you take one off, you've got a 50% chance that the other bit isn't going to be very good, you know?
Yeah.
But if you replace something for someone and within 3 or 6 months it's faulty, then you get them the other part and you take it out of your parts supplier because, you know, parts do go wrong. There's not, you know, it's out of your hands, it's out of the suppliers. It could be sitting on a shelf for 2 years before you know, it gets a bit complicated around the area. But at the end of the day, it's not fair to charge someone twice for something that they've already paid for, you know. So
have you had to like help multiple people like almost go back to their garages?
I just sort of give them the encouragement, like, you've paid for this. It's okay to go back and say, look, you know, I've been to another garage. This is what they've shown me. I want it rectified for free.
Why should I pay? They like put you on the phone with them, and then they're scared. They're like, "Oh no, Laura. Okay, yes, we'll fix it."
There's Laura Kennedy on the line.
Yeah, Laura Kennedy's telling us to fix it. We have to fix it.
I think they'd be more scared of Siobhan.
Oh really? Siobhan.
But I think the main thing we get with that is that people buy a second-hand car through what they call car sales, and then something goes wrong with it in a couple of days, and then some of these cars, they don't answer the phone, and it's like, what should I do? And I'm like, I just tell them what to tell them, and then they say, well, you explain it to them. So I do phone them up, I do say, look, it won't be funny, you know, and I know that can't go wrong in 3 days. And then they kind of do that way, because otherwise people, you know, they go out and pay like 4 or 5 grand on a car, and then they bring it into the garage because of noise, and then it's a massive bill, and it's like, you have warranty, go back and tell these people that they have to warrant what they're saying to you when they sold you the car.
Mechanics are intimidating. It's hard to do that.
I know. I've been having to get better at it, which sucks. Like, I have to even say this is a thing, but like, I mean, it's better now that I'm in California, because I guess people are a little bit more, I don't know, maybe just where I'm at, nicer in the mechanic world where I'm at. But in Pittsburgh, I used to have to like go in and be like, all right, Georgia, be brave. You got this. And like, it sucks that I have to do that, but that is a reality where I'm like, I'm not going to let the mechanic guys tell me that this is wrong with it. I'm just getting an oil change and that's it. They're not going to tell me I need brakes or fix or this or that.
Good for you. It is intimidating. It is. But it's just, that's our world. That's my world, isn't it? You just gotta crack on with it if you want to do it.
So what would you say is your hope overall for the mechanic world in general? Like, whether it's for females, just something that you're like, I really hope this improves, or like maybe even something that obviously you're contributing a lot to the world, but like, what's something in your head where like, I just want this to be fixed?
It'd obviously be more nice if there was more women involved in it, but it'd just be nicer if there was just a different temperament across the board in general. You know, there's no need to be hostile. There's no need to rip people off. There's no need to there's no need why someone dropping their belongings off, which they're going to pay you to do something, should feel like they don't want to leave it with you, you know. And it should be like dropping your kids at school. See you later, I'll pick it up later, and you'll find it off your day.
Just
not
creating
sitting
like
there
a more
waiting for a call, thinking what's going to be wrong with it, how much is going to cost me. The whole way that it's built needs to change, I think.
Just like a more trusting, like community trusting environment. I like that. I think that was an amazing conversation. Like, I feel inspired. I feel like I need to, I don't know, I feel like I just like need to get more like of a backbone with my mechanic in LA too. Like, you've inspired me to be more like assertive.
I love it. Yeah. I'm very motivated. But with that, would love to know where people can keep up with you. Where can they find you? Where can they hire you?
Where's your shop located?
Where's your shop? Yeah.
Okay, so we're located in East Finchley, and you can find us on our website, Spanners with Manners. And we're also on Instagram, Spanners with Manners. It's quite simple.
Sweet.
Yay.
Well, Laura, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you both for having me. It's been so much fun.
I really appreciate it. I think this is very motivating.
Yeah, you have such an inspirational story.
Thank you.
We're
Thanks
super
for having
excited
me.
to have had you on.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Shoot Your Shot Podcast. You can find us on all social platforms, Shoot Your Shot Podcast _ and rate and review. I know you hate when I say that, but
I know she does. She always says rate and review, and I didn't quite understand it, but I get it now. I like it.
We need reviews.
Yeah, we need reviews.
So our podcast is good. So if you want to do that for us, that would be very appreciated.
Please.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Shoot your shot. Shoot your shot.